Mtu anaongea wewe hama. Uhama wende wapi?
Na huyu mtoto Mkalenjin anaongea lugha wananchi wanataka. Na wewe ambao unasema huko na wananchi unakuja kusema hiyo anaongea ni mambo ya imla.
Atakupeleka kwa Mungu. Anakusema atakuua. Hii ni utawala aina gani hii? Hiyo ni Kenya gani hii?
Kenya iko wezi wengi wanataka mtu magaidi. Na sisi tutasindikiza, tutasukuma Ruto mpaka waizi wote waondoke nchi hii.
Mtu akifanya makosa anaambiwa umefanya makosa.
Lazima waizi wote watoke. Tutasukuma yeye sisi.
The important thing is maisha ya wananchi wa Kenya. And we want to develop here a democratic culture.
Eneo hii yote ni wakulima wa sukari. Na viwanda hizi vya sukari vimekoma zote. Lakini mtu asikuja hapa kwambia kwamba yeye anajua bila nataka kufanya sisi. Mpaka watu wote washirikiane pamoja.
Mtu mmoja alikuwa ameweka kesi 3 kuhusu Mumias. Anapitia hapa, anaweka kesi. Anapitia hapa, anaweka kesi. Anaenda hata Dubai, anatoa kampuni huko, anaregister kampuni huko, anaweka kesi kwa Mumias.
Yale maneno tunasema ndaikana Atuli ndiye aongoze kusema kama kiongozi wa wafanyikazi. Yale tunasema hata kuambia Wakenya waende kwa barabara, hiyo ni kazi ya Atuli.
Na election ilipokwisha, sisi ndio tulikuwa na President Uhuru Kenyatta. President mzima muwe na yeye mshindwe election.
Chenzi sana.
Kama nyinyi hamkushinda kura Wycliffe, si Uhuru angelikataa kupeana ile panga ya nchi.
Hiyo ni chenzi sana hii.
Wale ambao walikuwa wanampaka matope wakati anatafuta urais bado wanaendelea kumpaka matope.
Katika demokrasia kuna kitu kinaitwa loyal opposition. Kupinga serikali kwenye misingi ya sheria.
Sasa huku nje watu wanatudanganya, msifanye kazi na hii serikali, na jioni wanakula mahindi na chai.
Na sisi tumekana magavana wetu wote. Mtume anaweza kuambia nini? Tumeambia kwamba fanyeni kazi na serikali.
Wengine wanapenda vitu vya kujificha. Mimi unfortunately siwezi kujificha. Kwa hiyo haimaanishi kwamba mimi nimeasi. Ile bali mimi nilichaguliwa. Lakini mimi ni gavana. Na lazima nifanye kazi ya ugavana. Kipengee 189 ya katiba hii inazungumzia the distinct but interdependent nature of the 2 levels of government, which are distinct but interdependent.
William Ruto amesema hataki ufisadi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Hatuna hela za kutosha.
It is good when we speak with one voice and we will be respected for that.
Sisi kama Azimio tunataka tu maisha iendezwe vizuri. Hakuna mtu ameitisha nusu mkate. Ruto is the president and the commander in chief.
Of course, on that part I must congratulate the president because he has put his foot down. Anasema zungumzo endelee. Na kwa sababu ya kuonyesha msimamo huo, hata na sisi tunazidi kumtambua.
As our president wakes up every morning to take this country forward, he's asking only one thing from you. Pray for him, pray for his cabinet, and pray for his government.
Climate, money, infrastructure, resources. These are immensely serious challenges. How do we meet them? First of all, together. We must meet them together. We need to see it as concerted effort from all players because we know the cost of not doing it.
Among the central concerns of my government will be climate change. In our country, women and men, young people, farmers, workers, and local communities suffer the consequences of climate emergency. It is not too late to respond.
Unasema unataka kuhifadhi mazingira na mawe inaenda. Mazingira gani unataka kuhifadhi?
Hao watu wa Kenya kwisha. Msipochungana nao hii mawe itakwisha. Sijui kama mnanisikiza.
We must act urgently to keep global heating levels below the 1.5 Celsius. Help those in need and end addiction to fossil fuels. Africa has the opportunity to lead the world. We have immense potential for renewable energy.
Tulijaribu sana kuhifadhi Mau, lakini jamaa walikuwa kila mara kwa mara na wanaolafi ya mambo ya ardhi. Watu wameingia ndani ya Mau wanakatakata miti huko. Tulisema watoke.
We are going to be consistent. We are going to be coherent. We are going to be audible until there is no place to hide. And a green industrial growth powered by renewable resources to help us all decarbonize.
Our sole business will be to mobilize and converge around a common position and advocate for global alignment on a green growth agenda complemented by a transformative global climate finance compact.
Kwa sababu tuko na rasilimali katika bara letu la Afrika, tunataka tuwe na mjadala na wale ndugu zetu wa kutoka bara zingine. Waje na rasilimali zao. Wako na teknolojia, wako na fedha, sisi tuko na rasilimali.
The soapbox here, and of course, looking from that particular, or hearing from that soapbox, we have this editorial cartoon that hasn't been picked by GAMS regarding Kalonzo Musyoka. We have, he says here, when he was heading to Kamkunji, unanimously agreed not to acknowledge Ruto's presidency unless the servers show he won. Now headed to Bomas, he says, because of his stand, we continue to recognize him and we will wait for the next time. And this is where I think we began by asking Honorable Dr. Bakali to clarify, because we've seen him also talking about it here. Was he misquoted? Looking at that particular, he was misquoted. Has he recognized or he has not recognized? I think now he came out also to clarify that he's been misquoted by the media.
I think my party leader has come out strongly and said he has been misquoted. And if you look at the statement and from where he said it, he was making reference to the National Dialogue talks, which are taking place in Bomas. You know, last week, but one, there was this talk from Deputy President.
Was he really making reference to that, or he was making reference to the sugar sector?
That was the context.
Way he's really come down from...
No, that was the context. Because what he was saying, if you can see what he's saying that, you know, the other week there was a bit of opposition from the Deputy President and a number of MPs from the Kenya Kwanza side. And it's like we're all casting doubts as to whether these talks will continue. So what my party leader was saying is that coming from that background where people are opposing, and here comes the president who said that he's supporting the talks and he's going to make sure that they continue the talks led by him and Majority Leader Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. He was saying that from that position of him now confirming that the talks will continue, he was now actually tumeanza kumtambua. Unaona? It's like he's now providing the leadership expected of a head of state. So that does not mean that then the issue of the opening the server is no longer important to the team. And if you look at even the agenda, which was, and it is public knowledge to all of us as Kenyans, if you look at the agenda which has been agreed jointly by the two sides of the bipartisan talks, one of the key issues to be discussed is actually auditing of the 2022 election results.
We'll come to that. But more importantly, I think that is affecting Kenya is this radical proposal in new health bill. And we want to discuss about the social insurance health fund, which is a break and a departure from the National Health Insurance Fund. There will be mandatory registration for all Kenyans for the social insurance health fund. Also, Kenyans not registered for SHIF to be denied public service in national and county government institutions. Children to be registered at birth once bill becomes law. Non-Kenyans who have resided in the country for 12 months eligible for registration. Dedication of up to 2.75% of gross pay to be channeled to SHIF. Public health facilities will be allowed to spend money at source for smooth operations. Defaulting employers face 1 million shillings fine or 3 years in jail or both. Also, defaulters to be slapped with penalty of 10% of amount due in interest. Medics and hospitals blocked from sharing personal health information with any person outside Kenya. At least 10,000 community health promoters to be commissioned to boost primary health care. And these are 3 bills that will adversely affect, remember, the 2.75%, that is a percentage of one's gross income that will be deducted for the purposes of the new health scheme proposed by President William Ruto and his cabinet. Apart from pay as you earn, Kenyans also have to contribute to the National Social Security Fund, that is the NHIF pay bank and SACCO loans, and meet primary needs like food, school fees, clothing, house rent, and transport. And it says here that a community health unit shall, under the coordination of a community health committee, be linked to a primary health care facility to facilitate access to primary care services. This is according to the draft social health insurance bill. Maybe we can now unpack this to just educate Kenyans on what they're expecting so far. First of all, with the mandatory registration that at birth, a child is automatically registered to this particular social health insurance fund. And again, if I'm not really registered with it, I'll be denied of services. From that particular perspective, could we elaborate and explain to Kenyans what that really means for them? Denial of services, and yet enshrined in the Constitution as well, is that this is my Bill of Rights.
Okay.
Regardless of whether I'm actually signed to or registered to any of these services.
I think it's about let's put the record straight so that Kenyans don't start panicking this early. What has happened? Cabinet has actually approved tabling of 4 bills relating to the issues of universal health care in this country. And after approval, normally what would happen is that now the bills will be tabled in the House, where they will be taken through the first reading. After first reading, they will be taken through a very rigorous public participation process, where the Committee of Health will now call for public participation, where all key stakeholders will now make a presentation to the committee in terms of the way the bills are structured currently and what amendments will be proposed. Now, the committee, based on public participation, will prepare a report, which will now be tabled also in the House to inform the second reading of the bills. Normally, the second reading of bills involves where members now will come, us now who are members of Parliament, we'll have to debate these bills, where we will be discussing the merits and demerits of the bills.
No, what I wanted you to explain is...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What
is the difference between NHIF and Social Health Insurance Fund? What is the difference?
To me, these are just matters of semantics. At the end of the day, what we want is universal health care for Kenyans. So it's a matter of renaming the National Health Insurance Fund to become a social fund. But it's more embracing in terms of people. Because you see, like now, the National Insurance Fund is optional. You can decide to pay, to be a member. This one, which has not been proposed, there's no option of you.
So it's not a matter of semantics?
No, it is. Because
it is not. Because if it is compulsory, yes, and this other one is voluntary.
At the end of the day, the first one is voluntary, where you can decide not to pay, especially if you don't work, if you are not salaried. But the other one is even a situation where even children, once they are born, they're supposed to be registered in this one. But what I was saying basically is these are proposals. It's no longer, it is not yet an act of Parliament. Well, we can say, so there will be a lot of debate before you go to this level.
But numerically, we've had all these debates as well, and you don't stand on a good state to defend if this is...
No, I can tell you for sure this one is a serious change to the current situation. And we are going to give it the best shot in terms of debate. So the only thing which we are likely to happen, being government bills, we would go the same way we went with the finance bill. where members are whipped to vote that direction.
Yes,
but those said and done, I think there are issues. Personally, I've looked at some of the proposals and I have issues as a legislator, which I will be executing.
So what are the issues? Or you want to
the issues to me are, why do we need 4 different type of funds to fund universal health care? If I were to give my personal opinion, we could still have an umbrella body called the National Health, give it any name we want, but have these other now 3 different funds as directors.
Which are these three?
There's one for primary care fund. There's one for now, this one which is the social fund. There's another one for chronic diseases. And there's the 4th one, which is facilities improvement. So that we improve the facilities. I think that's the thing, there are 4. So what we are saying is that we are creating 4 different funds. And that means if you create 4 different funds, you'll have 4 parallel administrative units for the same fund. So I'm saying we would still have one administrative unit, which is umbrella, and have these 4 different funds being under director. So that we have 4 directors which stand alone, but with only one board and with one administrative structure. One CEO, but with 4 different directors. So to me, the organizational structure, we could still achieve the same objective by not having standalone funds, but by having an umbrella body which takes care of them. That will reduce what I will call administrative expenses. And from a financial perspective, that will make a lot of sense as opposed to the issue where you have. And by the way, in Dibal, this country has so many funds. We have the NSSF fund, we have now the current fund. We have many funds. I think, are Kenyans realizing the value for money from this fund? Some of them, no. We have the youth fund, we have the women fund. So to me, I would wonder, so since these are all health issues, they fall under the health sector. We would just have the same as NHIF, but have standalone directorates, which now focus specifically on the issues you're focusing. And by doing that, then we'll be able to deliver to Kenyans in a better way and in a cost-effective way than if we went to standalone funds. Those are my personal opinions, and I will be prosecuting this when it comes to the debates and also the public participation. I hope also the current stakeholders, because the health sector has a lot of stakeholders, will also be making informed presentation in terms of how this bill should be structured. The fact that the cabinet has approved does not mean it's law yet. There's a lot of process, and that's what I'm just saying. It's good to prepare Kenyans. This might happen, but it's not yet law. So it will be going through rigorous debate, it will be going through rigorous public participation, and even you, Dibal, you are free to make your presentation.
Yeah, but because our bugbears and fears as well is like, you will say it will go through rigorous debate.
Yes.
The finance bill went through rigorous debate as well, and it saw the light of day.
And you are right from those fears. You are right to have those fears.
So even as Kenyans, when we have this and questions are being raised, that you say that all is not, Kenyans should not be afraid.
But let's also note, Dibal, that Parliament has also done serious amendments to proposed bills from the government side, and we have seen those amendments taken on board. So if you look at the follow-up, the 3rd reading of bills, actually a lot of amendments have been done by Parliament, and they have been accepted.
Well, I don't think first of all it should be mandatory. If I have a baby, that automatically should be registered to SHIF in the first place. It should be my own discretion to provide for my own baby whatever healthcare that I want for the baby to access.
Debal, first of all, I want to convince you not to be worried. I've listened to Honorable Makali. I've listened to you. Your fears are the so-called the fear of the unknown. Makali has objectively made reference to the cabinet memo, the dispatch from the cabinet.
Last Thursday,
where in a bid to seek to fully implement the manifesto of the Kenya Kwanza, the government is saying these are the reforms that we are going to do towards improving the universal health care. Remember, in the run-up to the elections, one of the primary objectives of this government is to ensure that there is equal level playground in terms of the health of people living in Kenya. I mean Kenyans. One of the efforts that the government is trying to do is exactly what this cabinet dispatch is trying to do. The most unfortunate thing is the reporting structure, where when you look at the headline in the Standard, housing tax, NHIF law could make or break Ruto's rule. You see, the Constitution, and now I'm trying to answer to your concern as to your entitlement to register or not register your child, newborn, in whichever health care. What the President is trying to do is, we are aware that we have got formal and informal sector players in Kenya. A big number of Kenyans are in the informal sector. Their inability to pay for their primary health care is real. We cannot talk of anything else in terms of economic growth, in terms of building the nation, in terms of personal growth without health care. What then this dispatch is saying, we need to reform the laws in the health sector to ensure that we are able to provide at least primary health care to the one who is born in that small village in Bomet County, in Chepalungu constituency, in Kongasis ward, where his parents or her parents are not employed in any way. You and me can afford to register in any other health service provider to have our kids get the health care. That villager, Cheserton village, cannot, because he or she is not employed. The nearest dispensary requires money for registration of the birth of the health care that child is seeking. So the proposed amendments to Social Health Insurance Bill, to the creation of an infrastructure fund to chronic health diseases. Where I come from, Bomet, the greatest number of people dying are out of chronic diseases. Cancer is a real threat. Do we want to say we want to support these Kenyans by creating a fund towards supporting those in chronic condition or suffering with chronic diseases? And I would say yes. So the universal health care that the President is seeking is now what this conversation should be all about. We have across the country what we used to call CHVs, that is the community health volunteers. This proposed amendments to the law seeks to say these CHVs, who are largely not paid, they are not equipped, they're not trained in any way, are to be trained. They are to be provided with basic equipment for purposes of, supporting on that primary health care requirement by the local person, and also now giving some structured position that the national government and the county government will actually contribute towards payment. And the proposal is saying that we will look at registering over 10,000 community health promoters, now renamed community health promoters and not community health volunteers. They will be equipped with basic equipment, stethoscopes, thermometers, so that before you get to the next level of getting health attention, at least you have begun somewhere. And that way is...
But it sounds to me like that is a dysfunctional government if you're not really providing this rudimentary facilities in the first place. So it shouldn't be like, the government is really doing a favor for its citizens by providing these things or these facilities in the first place. I mean, that should be the function, the bare minimum facilities within
this document.
I grew up and I accessed these public facilities, dispensaries, and we were never really asked to register anything. As long as I have my national ID, I have access to health.
You're reading too much into the proposals. The proposals will not...
I'm questioning the proposals to get clarity, to get understanding. Yes,
you will not be denied services if you are not registered. This document called the Constitution... No, allow me to finish.
But this is what is stipulated here.
This document, Article 43, mandates the government. It is actually the obligation of the government to provide health care to each and every Kenyan.
So it flies in the face of what is in the Constitution.
Now,
do you agree?
What I'm trying to tell you is this. you are reading too much into the proposals which are seeking to streamline. The moment you register to DBAL, for instance, in any facility or in any fund, it will ease in your way. Look at, for example, the NHIF, where we are saying, the headline here in the Star is saying we will be increasing the NHIF. It is not telling us that when we look at the formal employment, that person will pay more than the guy who is informal. And the amount that will be paid will be reducing from the 500 currently, where it's very hard to attain, to 200 that will be required.
Allow me to take a commercial break right now. When we circle back, of course, you'll give us more clarity on it. Where I failed to understand, it says Kenya not register for this fund to be denied public services in national and county government institutions. And this is a proposal. So that's what we're asking. Does it really fly in the face of what the Constitution says regarding access